then the moment you become conscious of those unconscious behaviors, you're out of the program. You're only in the program when you're unconscious. And so it takes an enormous amount of energy and awareness to separate from those programs. And then there's those emotions that we feel every single day that are so familiar to us that we don't even know what they are. We just feel guilty. We don't even know it's guilt. It's just how we feel. And the stronger the emotions that we have to experiences in our life, the more altered we are inside of us. When the chemistry changes inside of us, the brain narrows the focus on the cause and takes a snapshot or a series of snapshots, and that's called a long-term memory. And so then it makes total sense then that a person, by every time they relive that event in their life, they're making the same chemistry in their brain and their body, and their body's literally believing it's living that experience over and over again. And now the body's so in the past that it's the mind of the past. So then the act of becoming so conscious that you don't go unconscious is a changing of consciousness. How many times do we have to forget until we stop forgetting and start remembering? That is the moment of change.
Reality can be a bit of a moving target, literally. We're used to thinking of reality as something fixed and certain. The way we've always been taught to see it isn't the way it really is. And if you're going to learn how to be your own placebo by using your mind to affect matter, it's vital that you understand the true nature of reality, how mind and matter are related, and how reality can shift. Because if you don't know how and why those shifts occur, you won't be able to direct any outcomes according to your intentions. If you can imagine a particular future event that you want to experience in your life, that reality already exists as a possibility somewhere in the quantum field, beyond this space and time, just waiting for you to observe it. If your mind, through your thoughts and feelings, can affect when and where an electron appears out of nowhere, then theoretically, you should be able to influence the appearance of any number of possibilities that you can imagine. From a quantum perspective, if you observed yourself in a particular new future that was different from your past, expected that reality to occur, and then emotionally embraced the outcome, you'd be, for a moment, living in that future reality, and you'd be conditioning your body to believe it was in that future in the present moment. So the quantum model, which states that all possibilities exist in this moment, gives us permission to choose a new future and observe it into reality. And because the entire universe is made of atoms, with more than 99% of an atom being energy or possibility, that means that there's a lot of potentials out there that you and I might be missing. However, this also means that you create by default as well. If you, as the quantum observer, look at your life from the same level of mind every day, then according to the quantum model of reality, you're causing infinite possibilities to collapse into the same patterns of information day in and day out. Those patterns, which you call your life, never change, so they never allow you to affect change. So the mental rehearsal I talked about earlier is certainly not idle daydreaming or wishful thinking. It is, in a very real sense, the way you can intentionally manifest your desired reality, including a life without pain or disease, by focusing more on what you do want and less on what you don't want. You can call into existence whatever you desire and simultaneously fade away what you don't want by no longer giving it your attention. Where you place your attention is where you place your energy. Once you fix your attention or your awareness or your mind on possibility, you place your energy there as well. As a result, you're affecting matter with your attention or observation. The placebo effect is not fantasy then, it's quantum reality.
I think that the greatest belief that you could have is the belief in yourself. And when you believe in yourself, you believe in possibilities. And when you believe in possibilities, you have to believe in yourself. So people that enter this work come with a certain amount of chronic disbelief that they could actually change their life or change their health condition. When you see the scientific research that in 7 days, a novice meditator, their biology literally looks like they're in a different life. and they're in a ballroom, and there's nothing very special about a ballroom. I've been to thousands of ballrooms. The environment isn't that stimulating. Those changes are coming from within. You see the data and you look at how cancer cells, actually the energy in cancer cells, when you take the plasma of meditators, advanced meditators, and you subject that plasma to all kinds of cancer cells, 70% of the mitochondrial function actually diminishes in the cancer cell. Cancer cells love to multiply and they love to move. You take energy out of the cancer cell, you're taking life out of the cancer cell. When people see that data, it gives them hope. It gives them the idea that it's possible now. When someone stands on the stage with stage 4 cancer that has spread to their bones, to their uterus, to their lungs, to their liver, to all the tissues of their body, and you ask any physician who's seen stage 4 cancer in bones, it's very unlikely you're going to see a reversal. And you see the person stand on the stage and tell their story, and it's not glamorous, it's a real life story. And there's no evidence of cancer in any of her tissues any longer, no cancer in her bones. The PET scans show that there's a complete reversal. That's the 4-minute mile. That's the person speaking the truth. And invariably, somebody in the audience is examining that person's story, and they're thinking, if that person can do it, I can do it as well.
So when you change your energy to alter a belief or perception about yourself or your life, you're actually increasing the frequency of the atoms and molecules of your physical body so that you're amplifying your energy field. You're turning up the speed on the atomic fans that make up your body. As you embrace a heightened emotional creative state like inspiration, empowerment, gratitude, or invincibility, you're causing your atoms to spin faster, just like the fan blades, and to broadcast a stronger energy field around your body, which affects your physical matter. So the physical particles that make up your body are now responding to an elevated energy. You're becoming more energy and less matter. You're now more wave and less particle. Using your consciousness, you're creating more energy so that matter can be lifted to a new frequency and your body responds to a new mind. So how does matter become lifted to a new mind? Think of the preacher who moves into a state of religious ecstasy and drinks strychnine with no biological effects. How did he overcome that chemistry that would normally poison the average person? It was his level of energy that transcended the effects of matter. He made a decision with such firm intention that his choice carried an amplitude of energy that transcended the laws of the environment, the effects on the body, and linear time. In that moment, he was more energy and less matter, and as a result, it was a new energy that rewrote the circuitry in his brain, the chemistry in his body, and his genetic expression. In that present moment, he wasn't his identity that was connected to his familiar environment, nor was he his physical body, nor was he living in linear time. His elevated consciousness and energy were the epiphenomenon of matter. In other words, it's both information and frequency that give rise to the blueprints of matter. And when we're demonstrating an elevated level of awareness and energy, it's these elements that influence matter. Because matter is created from a lowering of frequency and information, you'd have to agree with me that your body is made up of a vast array of atoms and molecules, and that these atoms and molecules form chemicals. Those chemicals organize into cells, which form tissues that further organize into organs, which create various systems within your body. For example, a muscle cell is made of different chemicals, proteins, ions, cytokines, growth factors, which are made of the different interactions of molecules, which are made of various atomic bonds. Those atoms share an invisible field of information to form molecules. The chemicals that make up a cell also share a field of information. It's that invisible field of information that orchestrates the hundreds of thousands of functions of the cell at any given second. Scientists are beginning to realize that a field of information exists that's responsible for myriad cellular functions, existing beyond the boundaries of matter. It's this invisible field of consciousness that orchestrates all of the functions of the cells, tissues, organs, and systems of the body. How do certain chemicals and molecules of your cells know what to do and interact with such precision? There's an energetic field surrounding the cell that's the summation of energy from atoms, molecules, and chemicals working together in balance that gives birth to matter. And it's that vital field of information that matter draws from. For instance, the muscle cells in the previous example can further organize and specialize into tissues called muscle tissue. Let's say that the particular type of muscle tissue in this example is called cardiac muscle. Cardiac muscle. Tissue forms an organ called the heart. The tissues, which are made of cells, share a field of information that allows the heart to function in a coherent manner. The heart is part of the cardiovascular system of the entire body. As it shares this field of information, it organizes matter to function in a harmonic, holistic way. So the field that's created that gives birth to matter is what controls matter. The greater the field, the faster the atoms vibrate, or the faster your subatomic fan blades spin.
And when people finally break free from those chains of the emotions that they live by on a daily basis, when they break free of their habituations, even in the way they speak, when they overcome their hardwired beliefs that they've thought over and over again until they accepted them without any analysis, when they overcome that programming to a certain degree, that wholeness that they feel is the healing in and of itself. They're not waiting for their healing or their health to change so they could feel gratitude, so they could feel whole. They actually understand that when they feel gratitude and they feel wholeness, that's when their healing begins. So then anything that causes us to move out of that state within us, a reaction or response from someone or something in our life that would move us from that state of grace, I promise you, if you're truly in the river of change and you wanted to heal, you would think about how you would respond differently to that person or circumstance the next time, so you wouldn't lose that feeling, because you would actually no longer be signaling the same genes in the same way. The moment you felt familiar emotions, you would be signaling old genes. And so the person who understands the what in what they're doing and the why, that if I live by this emotional state every single day, if the environment signals the gene, okay, and the end product of an experience in the environment is an emotion. If I live by this emotion, I could signal genes ahead of my environment, and I could actually change my health. Now, this is when meditation no longer becomes a have to. This is now when meditation becomes very practical, because the person is going to rehearse in their mind how they are going to think in their day, what they are going to believe. And they're going to repeat it enough times, and a belief is just a thought you keep thinking over and over again until it becomes hardwired in your brain. They're going to review that belief, and they're going to keep firing and wiring it. They're going to change the way they respond to their coworker, to their spouse, to their boss, to the news. They're going to change their response, and they're going to rehearse it in their mind. The mental rehearsal, as you know, changes the brain to look like it's already happened. They're going to say, I got to feel this feeling. If it takes me 100 times today to feel this feeling, I'm going to bring it up 100 times over and over again, so I get so good at feeling it, I can bring it up whenever I want and stop from default, right? I think when people do that the overcoming process is the becoming process. That so many people have healed in this work and they didn't even realize that when they were sitting and their body was raging and out of balance, and they were working with settling it down and overcoming those survival emotions, overcoming those programs, those habituations, that overcoming process was actually the becoming process. So many people, when they actually got to the point where they were so happy with themselves, so in love with themselves, so in love with life, so grateful for being alive, they could care less if they had their health condition. They no longer identified with it any longer. That was the moment it went away. And you ask that person, where is the disease? They'll tell you it's in the old person. They healed themselves by changing themselves. They're happy with themselves now. They don't want to be anybody else.